You've been there, right? You spend years, maybe in high school or using some app, trying to learn a language, and you feel like you've gotten absolutely nowhere. Well, today we're going to dig into exactly why that happens and reveal the secret to actually making it work.
It's that classic question, isn't it? Millions of us have asked it. You did all of the things. You went to the classes, you bought the apps, you made flashcards until you couldn't see straight. So, why can't you hold a simple conversation? What's going on here?
Well, first off, it's not you. That whole classroom method of just drilling grammar and memorizing rule after rule, it has a shockingly low success rate. It turns out there's this huge, massive gap between how we think we should be learning a language and how our brains are actually wired to do it.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. On the left, you've got this ideal world where linguistic research actually informs how languages are taught. But the reality, on the right, well, it's a total mess. There's a complete disconnect. Teachers are basically just using outdated methods that don't really work, and no one's fixing it.
So, how do we fix this? A linguist named Stephen Krashen came along with this, honestly, a game-changing idea. He said we have two totally separate, completely different ways of getting good at a new language. And this is the core of everything, learning versus acquiring.
Okay, first up is acquisition. And honestly, this is the magic part. It's subconscious. It's natural. Just think about how you learned to speak as a little kid. You weren't studying verb charts, right? You were just listening, absorbing, and eventually you just developed a feel for what sounds right.
And then you've got learning. And this is the complete opposite. It's conscious, it's deliberate, it's knowing about a language. This is your high school Spanish class in a nutshell. Your teacher standing at the front of the room explaining grammar rules.
So here's the kicker, the really important part. Krashen's big argument is that real fluency, it comes almost entirely from that first one, from acquisition, not learning. And here's the best news. That ability to acquire language doesn't just switch off when you're a kid. Adults can still do it. We've just been putting all our effort into the wrong system.
And get this, it turns out there's a predictable order to how we acquire things. Our brains are kind of hardwired to pick up certain grammar points early, like adding ing to verbs. But other things, like the little s on the end of a verb like he walks, that comes much, much later. And you can't really change that order. It's just how the brain works.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, then what was the point of all those grammar classes? Well, according to Krashen, all those rules you learned have only one job, to act as a kind of monitor, or like a little editor in your head. Your acquired knowledge is what produces speech, and that learned knowledge just swoops in to check for mistakes.
But, and this is a huge but, this little editor is basically useless in a real conversation. For it to even work, you need to meet all three of these conditions at the same time. I mean, think about it. When you're chatting with someone, when do you ever have enough time, are totally focused on correctness, and perfectly remember the specific rule? Pretty much never.
All right, so if drilling grammar rules doesn't work, what does? How do we actually turn on that powerful acquisition part of our brain? Well, this brings us to the absolute core of the whole theory. It's the big secret, comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input sounds complicated, but it's actually really simple. It just means you're hearing or reading stuff that you mostly understand, but that's just a tiny bit beyond what you know right now. Krashen has a little formula for it, I+1. Think of it like a video game. You can't just jump from level 1 to level 50. You go to level 2, then 3. That's how you get better.
And this right here, this is probably the single most important takeaway from this entire thing. This is the secret sauce. You don't learn grammar so you can speak. You get fluent because your brain automatically figures out the grammar as a side effect of just trying to understand what people are saying. You focus on the meaning, your brain handles the rules.
So what this means is you have to completely flip your goal. Stop trying to learn the language. Instead, just try to understand things in that language. Watch a show you can follow. Read a book that's not too hard. If you get the gist of what's happening, you are acquiring the language. It really is that simple.
Okay, but wait. If it's really that simple, why isn't everyone who watches foreign movies fluent? Well, there's one last, really important piece to this puzzle. It's this one major roadblock that can stop all that good input from ever getting in.
Krashen calls it the affective filter. And you can just think of it as an emotional wall. When that wall is up because you're stressed or anxious, it literally acts like a shield, blocking that comprehensible input from ever reaching the language acquisition part of your brain.
So what builds this wall?
Oh,
Things like high anxiety, low self-confidence, zero motivation. Does that sound at all familiar? It's basically the exact emotional state of every student in a traditional language class, right? The very environment of the classroom is designed to put this wall up.
All right, we've gone through the whole theory. We know the problem, we know the secret sauce, and we know what gets in the way. So now let's talk about what you can actually do with all this. Let's make it practical. The biggest change for you is a shift in your main goal. It's not about studying anymore. It's not about practicing. Your new #1 job is just to get your hands on as much fun, understandable input as you possibly can.
So here are the new rules of the game. Number 1, find stuff you actually enjoy, like books, shows, or podcasts. If it's boring, you won't stick with it. Number 2, your only job is to understand the story. Forget the grammar. Just follow the plot. Number 3, be patient with yourself. Speaking will just happen when your brain is ready. Don't force it. And last but definitely not least, number 4, keep that stress wall down. Do stuff that's relaxing and fun.
So, really, it all comes down to this one question. You've probably spent years trying to learn a language, trying to force it with grammar books and drills, but now you know there's this other way, a much more natural, effective way. The question is, are you ready to stop learning and finally start acquiring?